Hey, and welcome to Paranormal XL Podcast. Gigi here. Welcome to season 4, all about aliens, as you guys obviously know, because I've been posting about it nonstop. So I'm pretty excited about everything. Through some of the episodes throughout the season, my co-host will be Joe from 222 Paranormal Podcast, which you all should be listening to it anyway. Let's just be honest. So with that being said, let's bring Joe on.
Hey, hey.
Hi.
Hi.
How is everything in the world of Joe?
Oh, it's a mess. It is a
It's a
mess.
mess. It's a
It's always
mess.
a
It's
mess,
not.
but it's a fun
No.
mess.
Yes, yes. Love that. So, you know, we've talked about aliens a few times with
Yeah.
our years of friendship that we've had. So that's why I thought it would be fun to have you on and helping me co-host through some of these because, doing some of the episodes by myself is fine. And sometimes it's just boring and I don't like to do it. Let's just be honest. And with aliens, e- everybody's kind of got a different aspect or look on it. So I think it'll be
Yeah.
fun.
It's going to be a blast. Your season this year is going to be awesome. And everybody is going to be so enlightened because I know
I,
that you've spent a lot of time preparing for this show.
uh, I really have the whole season of it been trying to put it together and just making everything was it timed out correctly to be able to put out a good season with the aliens. The issue with that is I can make just a strict podcast on the whole alien thing.
Oh,
And
yeah.
that's where I'm like, okay, because it's so easy to jump into that rabbit hole and not ever find your way out.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. There are so many avenues that you can take. You know, I know that from talking to you before how much time you've put in and all the different research. And I remember you calling me the one night and saying, "I don't know what to do. What should I stick on this path or should I go?" I'm like, the best thing to do is just find your path that you want to go to, find out what you want to talk about because you want to try to stay on the path, but you're gonna veer off to so many other things
oh
because
gosh.
UFOs. When you're talking UFOs, you're talking space, you're talking time, you're talking dimensions, you're talking, you know, what people believe, what people say, psychology, everything
Oh gosh,
goes into
yes.
this. So the field of having a show about UFOs, you're not going to run out of content. There's so much content, and you're going to meet some awesome people in the field. I do know that you mentioned before off air about different guests that you hope to have on, and your listener is going to be blown away at the people that you have because
Oh.
unfortunately Stanton can't be on anymore because he's not with us any longer. But
Oh.
the
Yeah.
quality of people that I know you were mentioning, this is going to be a great season, and it's going to be binge worthy. People are going to have to binge this season.
Tell me more wonderful things about myself, Joe.
I
Please.
know, I
Please.
know. No, I'm just proud of you and all the different, you know. I know we mentioned it before about how people will just grab a camera and call themselves a podcast with no effort at all into what they're doing, no research of that. And
Yes.
that's fine if that's the kind that you want to have and your listener
Mhm.
knows that that's what you're doing. But let's have a nice, professional, intellectual conversation about aliens.
Okay. First of all,
Yeah.
I can't go there
Yes.
because I'm gonna lose listeners.
They're like, what the
I'll make
hell
a
am I
different
listening to
podcast
already?
for that. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But
The
no,
venting
the field
podcast.
yeah, the field of aliens and extraterrestrials, UFOs, all that is a great thing to talk about because a lot of people assume one thing, but there's so much information out there that is going to change people's minds,
Oh,
and
absolutely.
they're going to be they're going to enjoy this show so much.
Oh, thank you. They better. They better.
Yes.
So like it goes back to like the beginning of the universe. Like that's where I start getting lost because, you know, you hear the stories like about the Greys and then the interaction
Mhm.
with the government, and they have these um, contracts with the government. Like they give them so many humans to do whatever.
600,000 each year.
See,
Oh, did I say that out loud?
there's so many different things, and like ancient aliens and the pyramids, and
Yeah.
you know the drawings in the pyramids from like Mayan time and the Hindus,
Yeah.
and like everybody's talked about these for hundreds and thousands of years, and we're just like, well, maybe,
Well,
or
we talk about,
no.
they're like, well, how come the aliens haven't been here before? There's cave drawings.
That's what, yeah,
There's cave drawings from, 100,000 years
from
ago,
cavemen.
from cavemen, cave artists. And, I mentioned that before, like about the giants and all that stuff. People
Mhm.
think, well, what do you mean there's evidence? There's evidence everywhere. Now, I know a lot of the people have seen the hieroglyphs in
Mhm.
it's not in the pyramid, but it's in the area. It's in one
Yeah.
of the chambers. And it shows a helicopter, a modern boat, and a spaceship. And in other, and I'm talking this is Egypt, but other places, and like you mentioned about Mexico and all that, there's drawings of grays. But there are cave drawings of gray aliens with the big eyes, just like you showed in your intro.
Mhm.
So, how can we dismiss that? People say, well, they haven't been here. How the cave people didn't come up with these ideas of let's just put giant eyes and little tiny mouths on people,
Just for the hell of it, and we
Yeah.
just kept that for hundreds and hundreds of years.
Yeah.
Nobody's imagination kicked in to make it a little different.
No.
And so obviously we're into ghost hunting and stuff. So what's your take on that? Those intertwining with the
You'll
spiritual realm.
find, I do know that you'll find that like Bigfoot encounters. Let's go there. People that have Bigfoot encounters all of a sudden start having UFO encounters. They all of a sudden have poltergeist activity in their homes. They have different, just because they saw a Bigfoot, they're having all this other stuff. They're seeing flying saucers now that they didn't see before. They're seeing, they're getting poltergeist activity. So I think that it all meshes together.
Oh, absolutely.
There's a aspect of this shadow figures. I know I'm putting together a mega show about shadow figures. And, my encounter of the shadow figures, I have shadow figure encounters from different places we've investigated, but I've woke up in the middle of the night with a 7-foot shadow figure standing over me, looking down at me. Now, I believe that some shadow figures are alien.
Okay.
They may not all be, I don't know. But
right.
There's so many encounters that I've talked to people that have seen shadow figures, and it's always the same. Like mine, I woke up and it was leaning over my bed. I mean, I saw a 7-foot shadow figure leaning down with one hand on the bed. And I've talked to other people that said they had this exact same encounter, but most of your shadow figures are like peeking around corners and stuff. They're not right in front of you.
Right.
And I've talked to people that have had UFO encounters that saw shadow figures during the UFO encounters. So I think that some of those may be alien, but I don't know.
They're just not presenting themselves completely.
Exactly. I mean, we don't know what their technology is. They could be like, that could be part of their technology is that they astral project themselves into a space to where the energy is there. So it takes on that shape. Yeah. But they're sitting back in their, spaceship or studio at a computer with the thing on their face, seeing what they see as if they're
like a VR headset.
Yeah.
Mess with this human a little bit.
See, we've only been on the air for 10 minutes. We've already gone super woo. This is, like I said.
We have. And see, the next episode I want to have you on is actually the theories with aliens.
Hold on, people. Put a seatbelt on your chair.
Yes, buckle up.
It's going to be a good ride.
I do have some good ones, and some I
I've
didn't
got
know.
so many.
There, well, there's so many. Like I said, even just going on the theories, that's basically what we have when you
Mhm,
look into what we know about aliens, what we think we know,
mhm.
and then those are all theories because, well, none of them have actually been proven. Now, what? So, okay, I just had this conversation. I forget who I had it with and why, even. This is my daily thing.
Yeah.
So, there's all this craziness going on in the world right now. The politics, people being people,
Yeah.
leave it at that. And just pure craziness. Nobody's worried about the same stuff that they were 10 years ago, 20 years ago. Now, here and there in between like these big things that people are on the internet looking and stuff. Now the government has flat out said, yeah, we have this spaceship, or hey, we have this
Mhm.
alien, and people just keep scrolling.
Yeah.
Like,
We live in a Facebook world where I was thinking about this last night about how people are picking up their phones and just
mhm,
scrolling and scrolling and scrolling, and the information is going past them so fast because it's not
I'm
about
guilty of
seeing
that.
it's not about seeing the information because we're not scrolling on Facebook, stopping at everything and reading, and then we're just scrolling
Right.
past. We are training ourselves, and here goes my life coach stuff, but we're training our brains to our attention spans being under a second because we're scrolling so fast. And then when you're trying to deal with real life,
You're so
you're
impatient.
expecting life to scroll past that fast. So
Yeah,
if there was a news story of an alien that looks like Bigfoot came out of this spaceship because they dropped him off because this is the planet where they drop off all the Bigfoots.
Oh yeah. Hmm.
If there was a news story that came out like that, people might scroll right past it, not even read it,
Mm-mm. Not even thinking twice
and
about it.
don't. No. So I don't know. It's our expense our
Hold on, Joe. You
um
keep
yeah, my mind just went blank. See
freezing
my
here.
mind, I think they just zapped me in my brain. But our attention spans are getting to where we can't really focus on one thing at a time. So if they do say, you know, Bigfoots are being dropped off by aliens, we may scroll past it and not even realize it.
Oh, absolutely.
So I don't know, that was
That's
kind of a long answer to
100%.
a short question.
That's 100% what's going on here. They're literally telling us what's going on finally. And we're just like, oh, it's not pretty and shiny. It's
Mm-hmm.
not a Kardashian. It's not, so nobody's paying attention. Even after the
One of the
whole.
things,
Go ahead.
no, I was going to say one of a great example of this is we were sitting here 2 years ago, I think it was, and all of a sudden they noticed that there was something flying out of our solar system.
Mm-hmm.
It flew in, went to the sun, got a boost from the sun, and actually turned at the wrong angle of what it should. Okay.
Right.
And I know everybody's heard about it. It's called Oumuamua.
Okay.
It was what they thought was the first interstellar object to come into our solar system. But since then, they found out that there's been others. And one of them is sitting about in the ocean that they're trying to get out. But Oumuamua, this thing came into our solar system from outside of our, I don't want to say galaxy, but outside of our solar system, which is the sun, the planets, the
The
Oort
Milky
clouds, stuff
Way.
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, no. The Milky Way itself is the galaxy. Now, we don't know if this came, it's almost 1,000% that it did not come out from outside the galaxy.
Okay.
But that it may, who knows? It could have been flying for that many years. But the thing is, what made this so strange is nobody noticed it until it was leaving. So it already came in, flew past the Earth, went past the sun, and was leaving our solar system. And that's when they noticed it. Okay. Now, what this is it's a long cigar-shaped object There's no real pictures of it. So when you look it up, you'll see a picture of a rock that's kind of long. But the thing is, they don't have any real pictures of this thing. And when it came through our solar system, it was blinking. So not blinking as in like a traffic light blinking.
Right.
It got shiny, then dark, shiny, then dark. And that shows that it was spinning. So there was a shiny half, a reflective half.
Right.
So this came through and nobody's talking about it. You may see videos about it, but I feel that might have been a probe coming from another solar system, because that's what they do. The probes can't stop. It's just like when we sent the probes out to like Pluto. It took a long time for that to get there. It took like, I think 15 years to get there. And it just flew past the planet. And that's all we did. We had to fly past the planet and take pictures, which is awesome. But I think that this Oumuamua, and we can do a whole show on these things, but I think this Oumuamua was a probe sent from another galaxy or whatever, and it did its thing. But the weird thing is it took a turn. When it went past the sun, it got a gravity boost, but the angle was wrong. So it was in some kind of controlled flight, and it was moving way too fast for anything.
And it wasn't from Earth.
Yeah.
When we say
so, anyways,
that's
what I'm saying.
Notice it. Here's my conspiracy theory brain going. It's just that they didn't want us to know. You can't tell me that they didn't know it was coming. So, and that's where I would love to know more about, and I'll never know as much as I want to. None of us will, as far as the government's involvement with the ETs. Yeah. Like, I think that's a whole different level. Obviously, I'm probably going to get shut down for even saying it. But that's where I want to know. I'm not going to be mad. Just come out and tell me. You guys got some deal going? Like, I want to know when my number's up and when I'm going to get abducted or what have you. And you hear or research some of these abduction stories, and not all of them will be the same, but you'll have people that got abducted by, let's say, the Greys, or there's like the little Greys, and then there's the ones that look like praying mantises. What are they? Yeah. There's a term for it, and I can't think of it. But
reptilians.
Yes.
They're the reptilians. Also known by the Native Americans as the ant people. Dun, dun, dun.
They know their shit. Those Native Americans. But when it comes to the spiritual realm, when it comes to the alien stuff, like everything about that, I love. Just because, just when you go to any other, I would say, country even, and they just have a completely different outlook, and they're a little more open when it comes to, like, if you say you believe in aliens, or if you believe in the spiritual realm and stuff like that, they're like, oh yeah, we got this, or we've seen this, or there's stuff. We're only allowed to know so much, obviously, because, well, a lot of the stuff we couldn't handle it. Just like when they wanted to storm Area 51, I'm like, are these people serious? Because they can't even handle each other right now. You want to throw aliens into the mix, like, when they think they're going to be okay with it? No.
Good example of that is, look at when the pandemic started.
I don't want to.
What did everybody freak out about?
Toilet paper?
Yeah, we're prepared.
Yeah, give us aliens. As a collective whole, we're all not prepared.
Yeah.
And the ones that are prepared, I do believe that we are outnumbered by the non-prepared, which is fine. I'm not saying that they're wrong. They wouldn't be able to handle it, because I think some of us just aren't. This is going to sound really horrible, but I don't mean it in an offensive way. But like, we're not, our minds are evolved enough to comprehend different life beings.
Yeah.
Does that make any sense? I feel like I'm rambling, but like in my brain, it makes sense.
It does make sense.
You could put a room of 25 people like me and you that are like, oh yeah, aliens and ghosts. Yeah, Bigfoot, like we want to see them all. And then 25 of people that like are skeptic on everything. Those skeptics are going to be like, they're going to pass the F out. Like,
Yeah.
Be like, oh my God, just because their brain isn't wired to comprehend that. Now we've opened up enough to be like, well, maybe nobody can answer my question as to why. We stop asking the question why.
Yeah. It always goes back, like when you were saying that, it popped in my mind that it goes back to the religion aspect.
Mm-hmm.
Good example is my mom. My mom said, well, God made us and that. And I'm like, I know, but how do we know? I mean, if he can make us, he can make a million more. How do we know there isn't a planet where there was a test planet where people are walking around with arms coming out of their heads,
Right, but they've made it work, and he wanted this planet to play with.
If they say that if there was an alien, if we found life, even if we found microbial life on other planets, they said that all the religions of the world would collapse. I'm like, no, they wouldn't, because if they believe that God made us, or whatever they call their God, if they believe that God made us and we are in he's in total control of us, he can make it on other planets too and just not let us know.
Right, exactly. Well, see, that's if they were going to collapse, they would have already, with the changing, let's just say in the 10 years of everything. Not just saying that there was any type of life form anywhere else. You can tell people and you can show them facts. We can show them scientific facts. However, if their belief system is so ingrained in them, it doesn't matter what you tell them.
Oh, yeah.
They're still going to be like, okay, that's great, but my God still put me here. Some of them probably would be shaken up, the religions, whatnot, but I don't think it would collapse because it's a group.
It would just show that it's been done other places.
Right. And they'd probably be like, oh, well, and then as we know, religion does, it'll transform itself to work in its favor. And well, that's a whole different podcast too. And they'll probably get me canceled.
No, but okay, so let's come back a little bit. Okay, so we talked about other planets or other places that might have life on them, whether it is microbial life or whatever. And we can go into that, the difference, or like the Fermi paradox and all that kind of stuff. But think about this. When in 1984, they found their first exoplanet, which means a planet outside of our universe, or outside of our what do you call our thingy that we live on,
our galaxy.
Out of our solar system.
Because
we talk about
aliens.
The solar system being our sun, our planets, and then the galaxy is what we're in. But we found our first exoplanet in 1984, and I don't remember the name of it, but we found that since then we've realized that almost every single star out there has planets around it. We always thought that it was rare. We thought that it's rare for a sun or a star to have planets around it, but since then, we found exoplanets around almost every single star and around binary systems, which means two suns rotating around each other.
Right.
So that brings the possibility of planets that can harbor life to a whole new level. Now, on top of that, we think about, the habitable zone. The planet has to be within the zone where it's not too cold or not too hot.
Right.
We found that there are billions of stars with habitable zones around them, with planets in them. So the possibility of a planet having life on it went up so much. And it's almost, I don't know what number to put out, but it's almost like 80, I'll just say 70% or whatever. I'm just throwing that up. But the amount of planets out there that are in the habitable zones may have life on them. Now, we don't know because you still have to look at the composition of the atmospheres, if they have atmospheres, stuff like that,
Right.
to see if there are traces of elements that are caused because of life, like oxygen.
Mm-hmm.
Our planet didn't have any life on it for millions of years until cytoplasm decided to start coming out and putting oxygen in the air. And then it took another million years to have enough oxygen.
But what's to say another planet doesn't, those beings on the other planet, why do they need air? Maybe they don't need air.
Maybe they don't. And people think, well, that's nuts. Right here on Earth, there are so many microorganisms and even bugs that don't need oxygen. There's bugs that live so far down in caves or underwater, or that fish.
Yeah.
I mean, they do use oxygen, but
well, yeah.
But there's so
But
many
who are we to say no?
Yeah.
I mean, it's such a big. We're not flying out on spaceships and going to these places to see with our own eyes.
Yeah.
That would be amazing, scary, but.
Yeah. Right now, the only way that we can even tell if a planet is around a sun is by watching its brightness of its star and watching for the dimming and stuff. Now, with the James Webb Telescope, it's completely different. But we don't even know if they have life on them until we can look at the atmosphere and the light that comes out of the atmosphere and all that jazz. So,
but even then, who's to say? I'm always the one to ask why, especially with science questions. It's but why? But why? Because there's always a but why. So with that, again, who's to say, okay, yup, we come up with this, we find this, we figured it out by numbers and what those smart people do. But until we can go there and actually see, how do we know? Because again, okay, yup, it doesn't have oxygen, it doesn't have water. Okay. That's what we need.
Yeah.
But if there's aliens out there, who's to say that they need it?
Yeah. That was one of the big discussions, like with the Fermi paradox, is he was like, well, why are they not here? Okay, let's figure out why are they not here? There's so many reasons. Obviously we mentioned before on the show about the cave drawings and all that kind of stuff. So
yeah,
I believe that they have been, and they probably still are here. Now, let's talk about the reasons why they wouldn't be here. One of the first things is we are such a minuscule little dot in the full scheme of the universe that, I was talking to someone and I said, it's like if you're driving and you go to Bono, Ohio, and you drive through Bono, Ohio, and everybody points at you and goes, oh my God, look, there he is. He just drove past us. And then you don't go to Bono ever again. And they're not going to say that because you didn't drive through. But
yeah, right.
Bono is such a small little town in the whole scheme of the Earth. It's the same as the Earth is, or even our solar system is to the universe. It's such a small, minuscule little dot. Who is going to point their spaceship right at that empty space and find us? That's one of them. Another one is, how do we know the planet isn't a water planet where they can't build spaceships? They're all fish, or even fish people where they can communicate with each other, but yet they can't build the spaceships, or the gravity's too high to where they can't get off their planet. Or
we're going into that theory thing. We need to save that for the next episode, buddy.
But you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. There's so many like what ifs, and then this, and then this, and nobody can sit there and tell us no. I'm probably going to get so much email being like, no,
send emails.
Well, you know what? Unless you can tell me proof, I'm going with, I'm not going yes or no, but I'm going, if we're here, then it's a possibility that there's more out there. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
The Earth needs to let her ego down a little bit. We're not the only things, but anyway.
Yeah.
We'll take this up in the second episode. So is there anything else you want to say?
Oh, there's a ton of stuff. I mean,
on this
you know
intro.
Me, you can't shut me up when you start.
on the intro episode.
Oh, the intro episode. No, but the thing is, you have to open your mind.
Yes.
You have to think about, are there aliens here? Were there aliens here? What do they look like? What are their intentions? That's another big one too.
Oh, absolutely. Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know that when the aliens fly past the Earth, they lock their windows or they lock their doors.
It's like driving through Detroit.
People say, I've had so many conversations with people that say, well, how do we know that they're not hostile? I'm like, we're the hostile ones. Have you seen?
We're still here. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I think we're the ones that they're trying to avoid. They're not trying, or we don't want to avoid them. They want to avoid us because our planet is so hostile.
Yeah.
And I think that they really made themselves known when they noticed that we started making nuclear bombs and stuff. I think that's when it really took off because it's sort of like Star Trek, the Prime Directive. You leave the planet alone until they reach warp drive to where they can get to the other planets.
Right.
So maybe that's why we haven't had formal contact yet.
Right. Hey, you're getting back into the theories there, buddy.
I know. It's so hard. It is.
I know.
I mean, I could start talking about like when the Big Bang happened and all that stuff, but people don't want to hear that. They don't hear the theories.
I love that show. Anyway.
Not the show. I'm talking the actual Big Bang.
I know.
Which, by the way, the James Webb Telescope, I don't know how true this is, but they say that the James Webb Telescope is proving that the Big Bang didn't actually happen.
Really? I think I've actually read that somewhere.
But
am I fast scrolling?
Then you go through and you think of, well, wait a minute. If you run everything backwards, it all goes to a small point. So who knows? Who knows?
It's a vicious rabbit hole circle.
And why do the aliens drop their Bigfoots off here? Why did they choose Earth?
We will get into that on the theories episode. So tell our listeners how they can get a hold of your show and where they can listen to your show at.
Anywhere that you're listening to Paranormal XL podcast, you can listen to the 222 Paranormal podcast. When you're done listening to Paranormal XL, go over and type in 222 and you'll find me. I'm everywhere. And
you will find him, yes.
I get around. I do get around. I do have a YouTube channel. It's not that great. So it's not. It's not that great. No, I don't have that much stuff on it. I'm trying to work on that. So on top of all the other stuff, I'm trying to work on that. I'm trying to work on the Year of Profit podcast, which is my life coaching podcast. That and the YouTube video. One thing I do want to plug, if you're having trouble sleeping, or if you want to use your sleep time to grow your mind, I have videos on my Year of Profit podcast for that. But, oops, I lost it already. But as in the paranormal goes, just type in 222 Paranormal Podcast. You'll find us anywhere. We do have a website, 222paranormal.com. And from there, you can click on the listen button and listen to our show right through there. But like I said, the easiest way is when you've done listening to Paranormal XL, go into search and type in 222 Paranormal Podcast.
Yay. Good job, Joe. I keep looking. So I have, for whatever reason on cameras, I get a lazy eye, and that's what I keep looking at. And then I don't even know how I see it because my one eye is going that way and the other one's. So you tell Jen, if I can do this with my lazy eye that shows on camera, she can get on.
One thing I know the listeners going, I don't care. But one thing that I do is I'm staring at the screen here instead of the camera. I'm supposed to be.
Yeah, me too. My camera's right here. Yeah. But I have the TV set up right here that I'm actually watching, and then my computer screen's down here. Yeah, I'm looking everywhere. My one eye's looking everywhere. My other one's going where it needs to. How embarrassing, but you know what? I have to get past it.
Well, on the one or on a separate podcast, we'll have to talk about distances, how long it takes to get to certain locations, and that's the reason why they're not here, all that stuff.
That's the next one.
And I brought in my orb.
Oh, dang.
And I brought in this rock, which when we're done, you're going to have to tell me what this rock is for. I bought it at one of the shows.
Okay.
But it's a fiddle rock. I have several fiddle rocks that when I interview people, I put the rocks in front of them so that they don't play with the microphone. They play with the rock.
Oh, that's a great idea. Yeah. I love that.
And we can talk about how the Earth, which is now my orb, and the moon, which is this rock. Every picture you see, they're like this,
Mm-hmm.
and it's circling around, but that's not true. If it was to scale, it would be like
Science.
this.
We're getting a lesson from Joe, everybody.
Did you know that you can fit every planet in our solar system between us and our moon?
Really?
Yes. That's
That
how far
seems
away the
excessive.
moon really is.
Wow.
The moon
I
is
love the
actually
moon.
really far away. And when we're done, I'll try to dig up the pictures and I'll send them to you for a different episode. But anyways, for this episode, I am so happy that I got to be on with you, and I look forward to our other shows that we do together.
Yes.
And it's going to be so awesome. Convention season is coming up. We'll be able to each other in person, and we'll be able to bug people as they walk past our tables.
Yeah, hey, that's my favorite thing to do. So with that, of course, email your stories to paranormalxl@writeme.com. And stay kind, stay humble, and remember, don't yug someone else's yum ever.